In this video tutorial, I am going to discuss about acid number. Now, before we discuss about the acid number, we have to understand that what will happen to the fat when it is stored for the longer time. Okay, so suppose this is a fat, and we know that fat contains a triacylglycerol, and triacylglycerol is the one glycerol molecule which is 3 carbon long. Okay, it has 3 carbon, and each of this carbon is attached with fatty acid. So this is first fatty acid, second fatty acid, and third fatty acid. Okay, so the fats, for the any fats, the major contents are the triacylglycerol. Now, when with the passage of time, as the time passes, what happens? There is a growth of microorganisms. These microorganisms, what they do? These microorganisms secrete certain enzyme which can break down these fatty acids. Okay, so there is a liberation of free fatty acids, and in addition to that, we have a glycerol, right? So this thing happened with the passage of time. Now the second more important phenomena is also occurring simultaneously with this. That second phenomena is the rancidity. In the earlier video, I had discussed about rancidity. Okay, so in rancidity, what happens? There are two types of cleavage. One is hydrolytic cleavage, and there is an oxidative cleavage. So hydrolytic and oxidative cleavage occurs. What this hydrolytic and oxidative cleavage does? These cleavages do two functions, two work. One work is the same like this microorganism, that this bond, this ester bond, gets broken down. So again, this rancidity, because of this rancidity, there is liberation of more and more free fatty acid. The second thing which carried out by this hydrolytic and oxidative cleavage is that if you have a long chain fatty acid and unsaturated one, that means there are double bonds in between there. So these double bonds are susceptible to hydrolytic and oxidative cleavage. So what will happen? This one long chain fatty acid, it converted to 2 or 3 or multiple, more than that also, more short chain fatty acid. So 2 or more short chain fatty acids are formed from single long chain fatty acid. So again, we can say that the number of free fatty acids are increased. So this both mechanism, with the passage of time, this free fatty acid content increases, and we know that free fatty acid contain free COOH group. This carboxylic acid group is there, and because of this carboxylic acid group, there is an increase in the acidic content. So increase acid content, right? The pH of such fat gradually changes with the passage of time, and so ultimately it becomes acidic. Now, if you want to quantify that how much acidic groups are present, then we have to employ certain technique, and the simplest one is the titration, right? So if you take 1 gram of this fat, if you take 1 gram of any fat, you go on adding KOH, you go on adding potassium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide is alkali, right? So this alkali, it will neutralize this acid content. So you go on adding potassium hydroxide up to what point? Till all the fats, all this free fatty acid in this 1 gram of fat gets neutralized. It gets neutralized, right? So that the potassium hydroxide which is added in the milligram, so we can say milligrams of potassium hydroxide which is added to the 1 gram of fat, so that all the acidic groups are neutralized. So that milligram of KOH, that quantity of KOH, it is known as acid number. So what is acid number? Acid number is the milligrams of KOH, that is potassium hydroxide. How much? What milligrams of KOH? Milligrams of KOH which is required for what? Required to neutralize this COOH group, which is required to neutralize this carboxylic group, the COOH group of fatty acid. From where? From 1 gram of given fat. So this is the definition of acid number for the any fat. Acid number is milligrams of KOH required to neutralize the COOH group of fatty acid from 1 gram of given fat. So now let's look at certain example. So one example is fresh canola oil. Now if you measure the fresh canola oil's acid number, you will get some number approximately to this 0.07. So what does it mean? It means 0.07 milligram of KOH is required to neutralize all the fatty acids, all the free fatty acids from this fresh canola oil. Now see, as it is a fresh, That means there is no any microorganism or no any significant rancidity has been developed. So what will happen? The content of free fatty acid is very less, and so less acidity is there, so less KOH is required, and so because of that this fresh canola oil's acid number is very low. If you compare it with some other oil, suppose you take a fresh soya oil and you measure its acid number, it is nearly up to 0.6. Again, this is very low acid number. Why? Because it is a fresh soya oil, so there are no any significant rancidity or microorganism, right? So because of that, the free fatty acids are less, and so less KOH is required. So the meaning of this 0.6 is 0.6 milligram of KOH is required to neutralize all the fatty acids from this fresh soya oil. Now let's take one example of some old oil. Suppose you used frying oil. Now what will happen if you take a used frying oil? This oil is older, this is already used, it is already heated at the higher temperature, so obviously the triacylglycerol is broken down and fatty acid content will be higher. So what is your assumption? What should be the acid number of this oil? Obviously it will be the higher than this. So nearly up to the 30, this acid number up to 30 can be seen in used frying oil. That means we require 30 milligrams of potassium hydroxide to neutralize all the COOH group from the fatty acid, right? So its contents are very high. Its free fatty acid contents are very high. So based on by this acid number, you can get some idea about the oil, whether it is older oil or fresh oil. You can also get the quality of that particular oil, So this information you can get from this acid number. So this was all about the acid number. In the next video, I will discuss about Polanski number and Rater-Macy number. If you have any query or confusion, please write it down in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.